Hey everyone, my name's Veronica and this is my first vlog. So, my friend Sarah sent me this video on YouTube where she tagged me and asked me a bunch of questions and told me, hey, please respond to this and be active on YouTube and start a vlog. That was, 8 months ago, so I think she's eager to get a response.
Thumbs up. Good job.
All right, let's get to the questions. You started off the video kind of talking about how you missed our conversations and how in the conversations we wouldn't actually really listen or respond to each other.
I'm realizing that I took for granted our ability to process information with each other or kind of at each other.
And I think that is true, but I gotta say, I feel like we also do listen to each other. Otherwise, why would we be friends?
I don't mean we don't listen. I mean, somehow it was like therapeutic mutual venting that guided with advice in a way. I got this shirt from Ross.
Geller? So college is over, and your whole life you've kind of been told this is the path you take, and then that leads you to another path, and then that leads you to another path that leads you to your future where you have a job and everything's fine and that you got that figured out. And you're like, well, there are some steps in between where you're like, what am I doing with my life and what comes next? And how did these people come to the decision of what they want to do for the rest of their life?
I mean, it's not really fair of me to expect you to have more advice from that moment. So, do you have anything to add to that spiral? Or is it just kind of I'm there with you, buddy?
Literally anywhere you go, it will lead you somewhere, and it might not be the path that you were thinking of, but is it a bad path? I think any path could turn into a good path. You're like, but the plan!
Yeah, my plan did not work out. I'm going to be looking for PA jobs, which if you don't know is a production assistant. Alternatively, I want to be a PA or a writer in a writer's room, which is like a writer's PA. So it's all little bitty baby steps from here. That's my whole plan. It's funny, since then as an update, I still have no idea, and also I'm more scared because I have much less money now, because all the savings are gone.
I also should follow that.
Yeah. It's hard to follow your own advice.
Yeah. I feel like that's a common thread with most of our friends. We start talking to each other and we're like, this is what you should do. Try to calm the other person down, and then after that conversation, us ourselves are like, oh my god.
They brought up more fears I didn't even have before. Now I don't know what to do.
So, Sarah, we're in Austin now.
Yes.
What's the biggest difference between Austin and LA?
There is more kindness in LA than I expected, because everyone told me it was going to be super superficial, and I found a lot of people who really reach back to other people from Texas and or reach out to other people from Texas. This is a very nice city to be in college in. I'm really glad about that. It's a nice little sandbox to play in to figure out what kind of filmmaker you are and what kind of person you are and what kind of professional you are before you go out there, and then everyone else is asking you those questions.
Yeah.
And now you have something to tell them versus if I just showed up there for college in the first place, I'd be like, I have no help me.
Do you ever think that you'll move back to Austin?
I want to. Austin's so nice to live in. If you're living in Austin, you're doing it right. But it's I want to write and produce, and I feel like there are more opportunities in LA to do that, specifically for television. And I just can't even really see there being more than 2 opportunities in Austin at a time for something that I want to do. In LA, there's just more projects, so I feel like it's a good decision. I also just miss things like parking and nature, and it's very homey here, because it has been my home for a long time. So
that's how I felt about going back home. So for those of you who don't know, I grew up in Sweden. You are the dancing queen. So I lived a big part of my life there, and sometimes I just miss the comfort. There have been very few situations where I have felt like I'm not safe. healthcare that's free until a certain age. You don't have to pay for college or school, like you just have to pay for your books. It's
really
just
nice.
a very nice, cozy environment where you feel like everything's gonna be okay. Even when it's stressful, you at least have the comfort to know that you have that kind of security.
Yeah.
And when I've been living here, it's like
I'm using nothing more than what I can buy legally over the counter at any gun shop.
whenever we would get the notifications about like shootings or whatever that were going on, like in town or close to campus, I was like, what? and like a lot of people here are used to that. Like, doesn't mean that it's okay, but a lot of people have become like desensitized to that. I'm still getting used to that. So it makes me feel less safe now. I'll probably get used to it eventually. And
I don't think I'm desensitized to it until I like talk to you and I'm like, oh no, I am a little bit. Kind of, yeah, I didn't totally understand the importance of stability, which is a huge privilege, obviously. I'm feeling pretty stable because I've got like a month of savings. So the fact that I don't have a job this week doesn't mean like I can't find a gig next week and be okay, because I've got like a month before things get serious. And then Corona happens, and that's just going to take a whole month and a half out of my life. And
it's a little scary right now.
moving on. All of my very, very independent level and student level AD and line production experience have been very stressful and not like a way that I want to keep living in.
I think that if you don't feel like it's worth the stress, that's usually the kind of measure I use. I remember when we, for like high school senior year, we had to do a project and I was like, I'll make a movie. And I had never made a movie before, like only short films and like camp. I also had no friends who knew how to make movies. And guess what little Veronica decided to do?
What'd she do?
We're gonna make a feature in 6 months. That was fun. So I was like 18 probably. I was basically a one-man team with a help of a bunch of other people, but it was never the same people. Like, it was just day players coming in and out. Like, there were some people who knew how to do sound or camera, but most people I was just like, here's a camera, here's sound.
Sounds exhausting.
I didn't know how to AD. I didn't know how to plan a shot list. I didn't know that stuff. So it was like, it didn't turn out as terrible as it could have been, but like, that was still the most stressful time in my life. And yet after that, I was like, I guess I really like directing and making movies, because otherwise I would be like, no, I'm done with this, because that was not the best filming experience.
I don't think I'll never AD again. I think right now is very much my like figuring out what the bottom rung in LA is like. And then once my friends who are more than producers and writers get out to LA, I'd love to collaborate on things. But y'all are all collaborating over here without me, so.
Says the person who left us.
I did not leave. I'm moving to LA with Libby in about a month. How seriously are you considering moving to LA? Billie Eilish is from my neighborhood.
Yeah, I have been thinking about it. I don't know when. The thing is that I think for you it's perfect to be in because you want to be a writer and producer, and there's not really a lot here for that. But in terms of writing and directing, I feel like it's almost harder to start in LA just because it's more expensive to make movies there. In Austin, a lot of businesses will, like, if you want to film at their place, they get really excited because it gets to be a form of marketing for them. And so a lot of the times you can make like a deal where it's like you kind of do a little marketing thing for them and then they let you use their space, or like there's various things like that that make it cheaper to make movies in Austin, but also it's easier to find resources in general that aren't super expensive. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, cool.
You're gonna have to wait a little longer.
Hopefully at that point I'm like a creative executive something, and I'm just be like, you, let's make your stuff. Thanks for answering my questions.
Of course.
8 months later.
We did it. We're done. We got it.
My channel is Vermilion Videos, which it's going to be down there, I assume. And then I have a video where I ask these questions.
We'll link them all below, so you can just take a look at them.
Be responsible. Wash your hands. Don't be a delinquent. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to.
You're not supposed